our next speaker, I would like to invite Amjad. On works as the VP Enterprise at goeasy, and tonight he will be talking to us about frontline lessons helping shape microservices architecture. On.
Thank you. Hello everyone. I will walk you through quickly about what goeasy is. So I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with goeasy, but goeasy has two lines of businesses. One is called Easy Home, and the second one is Easy Financials. Easy Home is a leasing side of business, and Easy Financials is the lending side of the business. Easy Financial basically lends to non-prime segment. We are on Toronto Stock Exchange, and I think our current market capitalization is roughly $600–700 million. So we're not a very small company, we are not too big, we are right in that spot where we are a good mid-sized company and we are looking to grow. We started as a furniture kind of a retailer, and we turned into a lender. And the main reason we turned into a lender is what you can see over here, where there's a lot of opportunity in the Canadian market space, where banks are at a lower level of risk, and the cost of borrowing is also lower. However, the payday loans have a bigger aptitude to take risk. However, their cost of borrowing is also very high. So Easy Financial sits in that right sweet spot where we're in between payday loans and the banks. What I want to walk you through is because Easy Home or goeasy started as a legacy business. We have been in the market for 12–15 years, and we started with very kind of like small IT shop. We built the legacy architecture, and we had a lot of point-to-point connection. So then, as we launched the Easy Financial side of business, and the business started growing 30–40% year over year, we realized that this legacy architecture of point-to-point connectivity is not going to work. So that's where we went on a journey of growth, and we said if we have to grow this business 30–40% year over year, which is a huge kind of like a growth opportunity, what are we going to do to make sure we can not only support the growth, but we can also kind of like position our business for future success? So that's where we identified our pain points of the legacy system, and we went on a journey of growth. So if I have to translate that into a little bit of a non-technical terms, I would say that these were the rationales for us to do any technology architecture. So for example, lower total cost of ownership. So we went on a journey to educate the teams that whatever you are designing, whatever you are building, you have to make sure that our total cost of ownership remains low. And that could be the future systems and future implementations, but also as critical as if you have to make a change for a business, do you have to make the change in one system or multiple different systems? What is the cost of maintaining teams and building teams around those systems? So keeping all that in consideration. Organic and inorganic volume growth is very, very important for a business that's growing 30–40% year over year, and that has big ambitions. We want to be in a spot in the next 2 to 3 years' time where we can not just support the organic growth, but we are also in a position where we can go for, let's say, M&A activity or even foreign growth in other multiple different countries. So we looked at that, but we kept one thing in mind, which is that we have to have a simplified design and technology footprint. So I have worked in telcos, I worked at TELUS, I worked at Freedom Mobile, which was Wind Mobile, and now goeasy. One thing I've noticed is that over time, organizations tend to create too many layers of systems and technologies, that your technology footprint really becomes very, very complex, and it adds to your cost and adds to your maintenance, and every time you have to change, it's at least hundreds of millions of dollars and many years to change and respond to a market threat or market opportunity. So that has been the key foundation for us as architecture, that it has to be simplified design, and the technology footprint has to stay as simple as possible. So when we looked at that, okay, this is our goal, this is how we want to fuel our growth. The next question for us was, what are the main kind of like principles for us? What are the guiding beacons for us? We identified 4 areas of opportunity. Today I will only talk about the two, the microservices and micro apps. So we started with microservices, and you guys have heard from the speakers that came before me about the advantages and the governance for micro apps. So I will not go into too much of that detail, but I will give you a goeasy context of implementing microservices. I will talk about microservices, and then we extended that concept to something what we call internally as micro applications or micro apps. If I go about that, let's say microservices. So what you're seeing on the far left-hand side for you guys, that's all the origination channels. So what we did was we said that we have to build origination channels which are very dumb, which have very limited business logic, and then we'll augment that with MuleSoft. We use MuleSoft as an enterprise service bus for our services layer, and then we built an in-house layer of business rule engine. So that's where we said, yeah, for example, if I pick one of them, pre-qual, we said the pre-qualification is a logic that we do because we are in lending business. So if a customer walks in, we ask them basic questions: what's your age, how much you make, where do you live, etc., etc. So originally, that logic resided in 4 different systems. So if I would go to efs.com and I would try to get a loan, the system will have its own logic. If I walk into a goeasy branch, we use Salesforce as the origination platform, the retail origination platform, that would have its own logic. So every time you would have to make a change, that change will cost us 4 different systems and 4 different teams to implement that change. And for a business that's growing 30-40% year over year, and the business that wants to grow even faster, that's literally unacceptable. So how should we solve that problem? So we took that. First of all, we started with an API first approach. We said, yes, we will use our MuleSoft ESB platform to build that the API first approach or API led approach. And then we built a logic, a central logic that's supported by a central service that can be consumed by any application. So that's an example of how we went about that. But we strongly believe that if we have to be in a state or in a position where we can go for any M&A, or if we can go for any to support the organic growth, we have to be in a spot where we can literally plug and play any best-in-class solution or any best-in-class core system via our services layer to our origination channels. And we can only do that if our origination channels are very simple, very dumb, do not contain any business logic, and our services are flexible to orchestrate the transactions as well as to manage any integrations with our third-party external systems. So that was our approach. And then we extended that concept and we said, okay, sure, but we do not want to overburden our services with a lot of business logic because services are not supposed to be containers for business logic. So then we came up with the concept of the micro apps. And how do we define micro apps? So for example, we have a website, easyfinancial.com, where people can go in and they can do a real-time online application. And then we said, okay, fine, if we are building an application and we want to give flexibility to our customers to be able to scan the documents as a proof of income, as an example, for them to get a loan, why should we build that logic inside that web platform? We will build that OCR functionality as a standalone, independently deployable application, which can be subscribed to, available to subscribe based on a predefined contract and access authentication, can be independent of any infrastructure layer. Today we use Heroku. Tomorrow, if you need to use any other platform or Kubernetes or whatnot, that application should be independent of that infrastructure layer, and it should be a self-serve. And our vision is that we should have a local in-house wiki where all those services are available, so that if I need to have a third-party partner who wants to consume our services, I can literally give them an access to that wiki portal, and they can go in and say, okay, how do I create a customer? How do I create a loan? All that should be independently available. So that's where we came up with the concept of micro apps, where we said, okay, yeah, like let's build reusable technology assets which can be easily consumed by the existing systems, existing platforms, as well as any future integrations with any of the M&A kind of like activity that we may find as an opportunity. The next slide, so next two slides, I have two quick examples, or two exact use cases to kind of like explain the microservices and the micro apps architecture. The first example I have is a customer duplicate check. I'm pretty sure you guys will have run into your own space. This is a pretty common use case. So what we were doing at goeasy was that how to identify a duplicate customer. That logic again was replicated in many different systems. Salesforce, which we use as the retail origination, versus our website, which we use for online. And then we have a third channel, which we call indirect. That's the merchant channel. So if you walk into Leon's and you need a loan, they will turn on a tablet. That tablet will be goeasy's for a tablet. So that had its own logic to identify how to identify a duplicate customer in our system. So as part of the microservices, what we did was, as a first step, that should all go through the MuleSoft layer or the services layer. But the next step that we're working towards, is all that logic that you see in blue is currently not in the MuleSoft or in the business rule engine. So for example, what if I find two customers with the same name? What should I do then? Should I look at that SIN if SIN was provided? Okay, what if the SIN matches but the name does not match? Should I look at the phone number? Should I look at the address? Like all that logic was independently maintained and mastered in different systems. And that was always a problem because number one, you have to test 3 times. Number two, you have to have different, you end up creating a different customer experience depending on the channel that they're coming in. So our vision is to streamline that and all be mastered through an API-like approach where services are rendering that logic supported by the business rule engine. So that's an example of the microservices. And then if I go about quickly about the example of a micro app. So goeasy, as I said, was a relatively smaller company a few years ago, and then we started moving towards or rapidly growing into a bigger business. So as you rapidly grow into a bigger business, of course, the security these days is the foremost and fundamental thing. So then we went into, okay, if we have a web app, or if we have an app that our agents access or partner agents access through online platform, let's make sure that we build the right security. Let's make sure very basic, simple stuff. For example, what if the customer logs in or the agent logs in, and after 5 repeated attempts, we should log the account? How do we reset the password? How do we make sure what are the rules for the password complexity? So we started building like independently, and then we realized like we have 5 different systems, or at least 2-3 different systems that have the same need. I need that from a web application. I need that from a retail application which is used by my partners with very similar logic. Then why are we building it 4 times? So there are enough common elements that we decided that indirect is a channel. We decided we will not build it inside it. We'll build a micro app which will have all that logic, including IP whitelist listing, including CAPTCHA, including what was the last password, is the account locked or not, that can be subscribed to by any application, any channel that wants to consume that service. So that's how we kind of we are evolving our architecture around microservices and micro apps. And our vision is, again, if I quickly go back to this slide, if I go back to this slide, our vision is that all of that logic is encapsulated in this layer. Our origination channels are very thin, lean, and quote-unquote dumb, and that two things together afford us the ability to have best-in-class solutions. And we can either have those as core in-house system, on-prem systems, or cloud systems, or tomorrow, as the technology is rapidly evolving, if we have to subscribe to any third-party partner service, we can just hook up that service via our services there. That's the concept. And why we are doing all that? For sure, we're doing all that to make sure that we have the flexibility, we can support organic growth, but we have a bigger vision, and that big vision is to evolve our platforms into lending as a service. So what we mean by lending as a service is that we are in the non-prime segment, and we specialize in non-prime segment, and we want to have our platform, our technology available for any partners to consume, to leverage our operational capabilities, to leverage our risk management capabilities, to leverage our credit adjudication capabilities. We are a layer of services, so we can quickly and rapidly partner with them, and we can launch new products and services. We are a concept of lending as a service. That's all. Thank you.